The Industrial Revolution started in the late 1700s and ended in the mid-1800s. In this time period, there were major changes within Europe. The changes includes the manufacture of textiles, the shift from home-based production to mass production in factories, and there was a major shift in population from rural areas to the city. A bunch of other things happened as well in this time, such as the working conditions and how it affected all people, the transportation, and the inventions. These following things had a huge impact and made drastic differences throughout this time. Britain, France, and Germany were just a few of the main countries that have experienced these changes during the Industrial Revolution.
The working conditions in my country were very poor. A lot of people were treated harshly.
As with France, the working conditions weren't the greatest. Many women and children suffered from abuse under this system of neglect.
In my country, many people suffered from the working conditions as well, especially women. They worked long, hard hours, and the pay wasn't fair. Because of all the long hours, it affected their bodies and health.
Their pay wasn't nearly what it should have been. The women working in my country had to survive and provide for their children with nearly next to nothing.
It's not fair that the women in my country work just as long and as hard as the men, but get paid less due to their gender.
In Britain, due to such horrible working conditions, many people got sick and injured. A lot of workers worked in unclean and crowded areas. This caused them to get smallpox, typhoid, and cholera. They also had not a lot of sick days and could not get out if they were sick.
For my people, the living situation was just terrible. They lived in crowded apartments because their pay could not afford more. The sanitary conditions were dreadful. There was no indoor plumbing, electricity, and often the rooms were dim and dusty.
Eventually, the Factory Act was established in my country in 1833. Things got much better from there.
After similar laws were passed in France, men, women, and children were paid the same wage. Children were given off hours and had mandatory schooling.
After the Industrial Revolution, working conditions got better in my country, and women and children were treated better.
In France, the population was booming. The economy was up. People were getting better jobs with more consistent paychecks. When people have consistent paychecks, they want to buy a house, start a family, have children. Many children.
We had the Industrial Revolution, which opened the ability for the railway revolution, which opened up the opportunity for new markets for local products, which also opened up the opportunity for people to travel to different cities, which resulted in a baby boom because we were able to afford bigger families.
Our country had a global trading empire with colonies in North America. The standard of living here led to a better economy. This also made people more excited to have children. Even women had jobs in assembly lines. The first railroad in my country opened up in 1825. This made the transportation of goods cheaper and faster. This also made it more effective to transport larger loads.
Starting in Paris, France developed its first railroad system. It connected France's major cities to its capital. When Napoleon became emperor, railroad expansion developed fastly. Suddenly, we could transport goods farther and faster than we ever could, with much greater ease.
In the 1820s, when the rails were built better and stronger, it went off from there. It became more practicable to move things long distance.
Since railroads were introduced to my country, it was a good place to trade between nations. Before railways, Germany would import locomotives between Belgium and Britain before they started producing their own. In the 1840s, Germany's railways connected their larger cities.
By 1914, France had one of the greatest railway road systems in the world. It was one of the most densest and highly developed out of all of Europe.
After railroads became more successful in my country, it started to get more organized.
All three countries varied in the use of transportation, but a lot of it was the same. Just like the transportation in Britain, France, and Germany, it's the same with the inventions. In all these countries, different inventions made work and life much easier and better.
Before we had things like the steel and electrical industry, railroads were way different.
safe and a lot of people got sick. It was just bad. Manufacturing was mainly done in people's houses and consisted of basic methods and hand tools.
In France, we had a similar situation. Most production was done by hand, and it took a very long time to produce products.
In 1789, James Watt invented the steam engine. This also led to other inventions like the threshing machine and the steam plough.
A French man named Jacques Jacquard also invented the textile loom. This increased textile production, making the industry boom.
Steam was also used at factories. This produced productivity and leadership.
Here in France, we also use Britain's steam engines to mine coal for our factories.
Something that was used in my country was the steel industry. Alfred Krupp came up with the idea of the iron foundry, which brought him great fortune.
Steam was very important and was used to do many things in my country.
Our Emperor Napoleon needed a way to feed his soldiers overseas because they kept getting sick from native food. Another French citizen, Nicolas Abar, had a solution. He put foods in bottles and he boiled them, preserving the food. He soon used this method to stockpile the food in tin cans, thus creating the modern food preservation systems we still use today.